What's going on, guys? Netflix, they're at it again. They're expanding their little corner of the Marvel Universe, bringing Luke Cage to the airwaves. You saw him in Jessica Jones, now he's getting his own show. What's it about? How's it gonna be? Well, because it's back to school month, we're gonna explain it to you in a segment we call Please Explain Luke Cage. And we've got a couple of cool comic heads to talk about it with. First, she's one of the co-hosts of Marvel Movie News. Welcome, Markia McCarty.
Thanks for having me, Hal.
Oh, thanks for coming down.
Glad to talk some Luke Cage.
Hell yeah. And he is also a co-host of Marvel Movie News, and he's a writer, actor, and all-around bon vivant.
Thank you.
Coy Jandreau. Welcome back.
Thanks for having me back, man.
So tell me, Luke Cage, why is it one of these characters that's been beloved for a long time, but you didn't think might make it?
I personally didn't think he'd make it because when I looked him up as a kid, I looked him up because I found out Nick Cage named himself after Luke Cage. And I was like, who's this guy? And I hadn't heard of him. I'm a pretty big comic fan. So when I looked up a character that I needed to find out more about, and then it was this awesome, edgy, walking the line between hero and villain, questionable between all perspectives, I didn't think that'd be the guy we'd get as a major superhero on a 13-hour show.
For me, it was, you only had so many choices when you were growing up with like actual characters that you would be able to relate with.
Yeah.
So there was Luke Cage, there was Black Panther, there was Storm. I'm sure you see like the trend.
Uh-huh.
So with Luke Cage, he was from Harlem. He was this hero that he didn't start off a hero.
I would love to hear a little bit about the origin story for the uninitiated. In the comics, how did Luke Cage get his powers?
When Luke Cage is in Seagate Prison, he's part of a failed experiment. He ends up being basically broiled in a there's an actual phrase, biochemical electrical bath.
That's right. Yeah,
Wow.
Yeah.
Yes.
Good recall.
Yeah, the things that I want to remember stick to me.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so he's bathed in a biochemical electrical bath. And because of that, he has steel hard skin. And,
Wow.
Yeah, and cell regeneration.
And that manifested in just that hard exterior, the hard skin, but he's not like unkillable or something.
No, he can be drowned. He can be gassed.
He can get bone bruises. He can get lacerations under the skin. He can still be injured by
Internal
contusions.
injuries.
Yeah, we've seen on Jessica Jones, he's gotten shot, he's gotten all sorts of scrapes, and he comes out unscathed.
And it gives him a certain level of superhuman strength, too, because he can regenerate at all times. So he's super strong, he's the most durable, but that also causes problems. And one of my favorite storylines, or one of my favorite things they do in the comics, is when they have him get hurt and not be able to solve it because of the skin.
So he can't get stabbed, he can't get shot, but you know what he can do? He can bone down with Jessica Jones, am I right, everybody? So does any of that action happen in the comics?
Absolutely. They
Oh,
have
wow.
Danielle Cage.
Named
They have her
after
together.
Danny Rand, who's Iron Fist.
Now let me ask you this. How closely to the comics has Jessica Jones and her relationship to Luke Cage?
Oh, it's really on par, I think.
Yeah.
I think it's
Yeah.
parallel, because you can't do a lot of it, because basically Jessica Jones goes through a mental breakdown and just starts seeing whoever she can, and they streamlined it because the important part of the love story is Luke Cage.
Okay, so we talked about Jessica Jones a little bit. How much does Luke Cage interact with the other characters in the current Netflix universe? Daredevil, Punisher.
Okay, well, it seems like what they're going to do is they're doing something different. There's the Defenders.
For those uninitiated Defenders, kind of like a street-level Avengers.
Yeah,
Sure,
for lack of a better-
they're like
yeah.
an anti-team.
Yeah.
They're a team of outsiders, kind of a thing. They deal more with mystical and supernatural than like Avengers deals with huge global type of thing.
Intergalactic.
The funny thing about Netflix's The Defenders, and you have to say Netflix's
Yes.
The Defenders, is because Luke Cage is actually the only one that was actually part of The Defenders. And now Netflix has Jessica Jones, Daredevil, Luke Cage, and Iron Fist.
And Punisher, he's just going to remain a lone wolf.
I think they'll make him part of it because of how well he did. I think John Bernthal made that happen. I think
Bernthal,
beforehand
yeah,
it was
that guy
like,
rocks.
it's a backdoor pilot that turned into like, oh my god, what a great part of the show. Now he's a Defender. And they've kind of shaped the Defenders around Luke Cage's relationships in like retrospect.
Interesting. So we've talked a lot about Luke Cage's posse. Who is he opposing? Does he butt heads with Kingpin? Who else in that universe
Right,
are villains he goes up against?
Well, he kind of has like a monster of the month kind of a thing with like each issue. And when you actually see this particular thing that Netflix is doing, they have him going up against Cornell Cottonmouth. Cottonmouth is a Kingpin-like character.
Okay.
He is very suave, but kind of savage.
It says that in my Tinder profile, suave yet savage.
Oh, bye. Very important.
He is a head of a mob, and it's him versus Morgan, who's another mob boss. And
Gotcha.
Luke Cage actually is going after Cottonmouth because Cottonmouth has the evidence that would exonerate Luke Cage from being, from when the heroin was planted on him before.
So this is the storyline they're going to be following in the Netflix show.
I
I think they'll have a storyline wherein he has blackmail and like the freedom to get him out. I think there's definitely going to be like he knows that he's innocent and he has the ability to get him out. And I definitely think they have a rich history.
Yeah.
And they've cast 2 brilliant actors. Like Mahershala Ali, I think is one of the best actors working. Period.
He's playing Cottonmouth.
He's playing Cottonmouth.
Gotcha.
In Netflix, they've done this beautiful thing where the hero and the villain are as important as each other. So if you're going against Mike Colter, you're telling a story that's so rich and so different. You need an actor that can be the powerhouse villain.
You nailed something right there, because that's one of the things that make the Netflix shows so good, and it's a departure from the films in the MCU because the villains are often lacking there. But Kingpin, Kilgrave, those are quality, rich villains.
Yeah, no, it's something that you can get with Netflix that you got with Jessica Jones and you're going to get with Luke Cage, is that you get to be intimate with these characters. You get to be intimate with the villain. You get to know exactly what makes them tick. I mean, just the trailers that they've been putting out. With Mahershala Ali, you have him standing in front of his Biggie Smalls painting.
You know what draws your eye when you look at that? The crown.
The way that it's shot, the way that he is, and the lighting, and you already know exactly where he's coming from, and you want to be there the entire journey with this character.
Wow. He likes it when you call him Big Papa. Okay, another thing I want to ask you about. He's got a phrase that he would often use in the comics, Sweet Christmas.
It's a magical thing. I think it's one of the best catchphrases in the history of comics.
It actually didn't start off. It didn't start off as Sweet Christmas. It was Sweet Sister.
Sweet sister.
Sweet mother. And then one day, Sweet Christmas.
And it's stuck because it's fun to say.
Awesome. So you've really laid it out for us. I'd love to get your take now on how this show is going to separate itself just overall in tone, in kind of worldview from Daredevil, from Jessica Jones in this Netflix Marvel world.
I think the musicality, I think the world building, and I feel like Netflix has done an amazing thing, even with the trailers, even with the 5 minutes we've seen of building a world. Yes, it's dark. Yes, it's gritty. Yes, we've experienced that Netflix, but we're adding a musicality and an urbanness, and it doesn't feel contrived. It doesn't feel exploitative. It feels like a universe we've never witnessed from his eyes, and we get to see what Harlem's like for someone that lives that side of it, not someone judging it from above.
For me, with the intimacy that you got for Jessica Jones, not only could women relate to it because of Kilgrave, they touched on things like gaslighting and pressures and everything that a female deals with. They put that into Jessica Jones. With Luke Cage, I expect the same level of intimacy. They're going to deal with race issues and they're going to put it in a way that is going to be relatable to different cultures. Like, I feel like this could actually kind of start bridging gaps for people. From the fact of their showrunner, they have Chio Coker, they have a mainly black writing room. It's like, this is amazing. We've come to this point in time where we can have Luke Cage and we can do it right.
Well, you guys, I brought you here to please explain Luke Cage, and you absolutely did. I feel educated about Luke Cage. Do you feel educated about Luke Cage? What are you looking forward to? What are you nervous about? How do you feel about the Netflix Marvel Universe? Let us know in the comment section below. We want to know. I want to thank my awesome panel. Markeia McCarty, thank you for making your first appearance on Screen Junkies. Yeah.
Yeah, thanks.
Awesome having you. Coy Jandreau, thanks for coming back, buddy. And I want to thank you for watching. I'm Hal Rudnick. Hit me up on Twitter. Bye-bye.
You've seen them fight as hero versus hero. You've seen them fight as friend versus friend. Now, the greatest threat to the Avengers is... It's gonna be themselves again, isn't it? Yep, this is what happens when your villains kinda suck. Captain America: Civil War.